Hello, Forza fans! In the last week, I've been taking part in a few firsts. Yeah, I know I've basically been racing the touring car series, but we've switched to the VW Golf as it seems a bit quicker than the Civic. So the first here as we get underway is that I've never driven this layout of Virginia International Raceway before. I'm in 17th, and as I was using the practice to get used to the track, I ran out of time to qualify. So we're getting bashed a little bit from all angles here, just trying to find our way through the pack. And just about doing it, we get a nudge there and another nudge into the corner, but we're just trying to be careful, just trying to stay away from everybody and keep it clean. So there's a car off there, there's a ghosted car there. We've made our way through pretty safely, but so far haven't really gained much in the way of places. I decide to back out there because I know that that's just a closing gap. Managed to dodge the guys rejoining, and there'll be somebody else rejoining just there off to the left, as you can see from my arrow, and we're up into 14th by the first big braking zone at the end of the straight onto the section of the track that I don't really know and have just been trying to learn in the last 10 minutes or so. We come up through this wonderful little section into a couple of really slow corners now, right behind the Great Amazzo. That's how I'm reading that anyway. And in a moment, you'll see a wonderful magic trick as the Great Amazzo makes himself disappear in a cloud of smoke. I can't quite find the way round, so I just wait. But there's a nasty braking zone up the hill into a blind corner here. He gets it wrong, clips the rear of that car, and off he goes. So I'm up into 13th position. There's a rejoining Audi here in front of me. Quite a hectic first lap, it has to be said. I try to go down the inside. The space is there. I brake in time. I get a bash as they turn in, but it's a triple overtake because there was someone off there into the grass as well. We'll see in a moment, though, that I don't always get that corner right. But it was a lovely start to the race, and there we go. Now, later on to lap 2, down into the first corner, Team Barso goes nicely up my inside. They've been harassing me for the latter part of the first lap, and I was under the impression that they were just much quicker than me, but then I just keep closing in these first stages. I don't know whether they're being overly defensive or they just didn't have as much pace as I thought. So when they braked earlier here, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have that inside line. They turned into me, but I think that's a fair and square move. Let me know if you agree in the comments, of course. As the lap moves on, this is where things start to go a little bit wrong for me, my inexperience at knowing the track. I sort of look down the outside, brake, but just carry too much speed. And off onto the grass I go. So I was up into 8th, but I'm once again down into 10th. But then there's a few pit stops have taken place by this point. I'm guessing some people went onto soft tyres and just realised they only lasted a couple of laps. That was an extremely ambitious move as I collect all the cones. But, you know, when you think you're faster than somebody and you're trying to make upward progress, and you've already gone from 17th to 6th, you kind of think maybe I can try that, but I wasn't given the room, and that's fair and square in my opinion. As I don't learn from my previous mistake, get a little bit hot into that super slow, deceptively slow corner and drop down to 8th. Paul Panther does get the better of me. You saw he was just behind me, but he's now in front of me as we're on lap 4. Dunkel in front, getting pretty lively on the grass with them and then pretty lively on the brakes with them. Paul decides not to turn in and just let that one go, but I believe Paul has already taken a pit stop, whereas 4th place there and myself haven't. So I'm sort of not really too interested in trying to dive up the inside and just see whether they can make any progress on their own. As you'll see in this next part, this is painfully slow but also quite technical. They get past quite easily, but I've also got a lot of pace, so I have a look down the inside, but that gets closed off to me. I brake slightly later, so I just clip their rear end, but they don't get out of shape, which is great because I'm not looking for any kind of incident or to push anybody out of the way in order to make places up. I think there's a bit of a gap down the outside here too, but I get forced onto the grass. And I wasn't quite alongside, so I guess we just have to let that one go. I do keep coming out of corners with so much more pace, but there's just no way past. He's placing the car really well. But then I try it down the outside into this slow hairpin, or this sort of double apex corner, get nudged, luckily keep it away from the grass, but then the Luke 96 gets the better of both of us. I think they've taken a pit stop as well, so they have way more pace. So our tyres are down in the orange and red kind of zone, and once again on the straight I get a lot more pace, but then this is going to be a bit dirty now. They come across, force me into the cones, onto the grass. I just hold it. Nearly lost it there. And then we come into the pits at the end of lap 4, absolutely together. I'm hoping to maybe get the jump, and I don't as we exit the pits. I've actually lost a bit of ground by the looks of things. But this is turning out to be an epic battle, but I just want to get past cleanly. You know, there's been a couple of incidents that have been a bit questionable from Dunkel in front, but I go once again for the outside line. They're hoping to tuck it in, but not quite. Their car placement is actually pretty decent from a defensive point of view, but it just doesn't need that sort of dirty driving me off the track side. I decide to back out here because that gap is always closing. They almost lose it onto the grass, so I sort of think, oh, great opportunity. And then on the straight once again, the VW has way more grunt. And I'm finally going to be alongside again. Am I going to be forced off the track once more? They move over like they did before. But this time that leaves a path clear for me to get through on the outside. Will I be contested or rammed into this corner? Neither. I sort of cut off the route, but if they were still coming in hot, I would have probably been hit there. So I'm finally past, but just ahead I see a car off and ghosted. So is this going to pose a problem for me with the move I've just made? They unghost just at the wrong time. I have to slow right down to avoid hitting them. But luckily I keep my position of 9th that I've earned now. As we go on to the last lap, I see that Abyss in front has a 0.8 second penalty. So if I can stay within 0.8 seconds, maybe I can steal 8th place. But then it starts to look a bit better into the first few corners, as Team Barso here is obviously on older tyres, pitted earlier. Doesn't really contest me into there. So I'm up into 8th place. So can I get 7th by staying within 0.8 of Abyss in front? As you can see, I am absolutely trying everything to stay within 0.8. Here we are into the slow section. Just a little slalom through, just cut a little bit of the corner. 0.7 the gap, 0.8 as we go onto the straight towards the end of the lap. Can I get the slipstream? Can I stay within 0.8 and hopefully grab what has now become 6th position because somebody else went off the track in the earlier clip that I just missed there? Well, luckily for me, I was closing a bit, but P5 is there, and that's causing a bit of a problem for Abyss in front, slowing them up, which means I am able in the last couple of corners to close right in and not only be within 0.8, I'm within 0.3, and as we come over the line, it's about 0.2. So 17th to 6th. What a fantastic race. Up 11 positions, so not quite enough to get that 12 position achievement that they offer out for gaining 12 places in an online race, but 6th is very, very good. The next first is I've not yet taken part in the Spotlight Series, which is the Porsche 911 GT3. I'm starting 3rd on the grid here and hoping for a clean race. So we get away pretty well, but 4th place, and a couple of other guys get a pretty good start look and get the jump on me. This blue Porsche here of Naves absolutely flies up into 1st position. They must have qualified well out of position because they are absolutely flying. So I'm down into 4th, getting a few bashes here and there. As we go through the slow stadium section, I just try and keep it clean. There's a car on my left. I go right to the inside of the track and hold it. A little bit of a slide coming out of there. but we go into fourth and stick with fourth. So starting third, I didn't anticipate that blue Porsche being so much faster, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to see if I can stick with the guys in front. As we skip straight ahead to lap 5, you can see that I did kind of stick with the guys ahead. They're about 4 seconds in front, but third place goes wide on the very final lap. I just try and make sure I give enough space on the inside there, outbrake them. They're just to my left, but I've got the inside for this turn before the straight, and then it's a matter of getting the chicane right, which I do. Just skip across there without breaking track limits, and I managed to hold it. So that is a wonderful sprint, getting third place. So we've got 6 in our first race, third in our second. So in this video of firsts, the final race I have for you is the first time that I have come to this layout of the Catalunya circuit, Barcelona. You'll see that the straight is cut short in favour of a hairpin, and then this turn here actually washes out wider than the regular circuit you might be used to in Grand Prix or GT racing into a chicane section. So I qualify once again in P3, and I'm not particularly hopeful of keeping with the guys in front because I think they're about 1.5 seconds, and would you believe 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me? The guy twisted there who qualified on pole. I get a push from Jinxie Katniss on the inside. I try and sort of fight back, but they give me enough room and I don't run wide, so keep everything fair. But once again, I'm down to 4th place. Now I'm going to show you the whole of the first lap in its entirety here, because as you see, Owl of Storms, who'd qualified second, slid off the circuit there, so I'm back up into third. And I'm starting to think, with the guys ahead pulling away, that this is probably the best I can hope for today. I've got a car on my inside as well, but get a great drive out of this long turn, have the inside line, slow it down in time, and just park my car there to get a good exit into the chicane, which we are running in this layout. And I'm kind of expecting to be here for the duration, maybe scrapping with the guys behind, but just being careful not to get any of this track layout wrong. But then, as you can see, first place flew off the track, got stuck in the gravel and was ghosted there, so we're up to second now, and we get an almighty drive off the final corner, and as we finish the first lap we're up into first, so it's a case of braking at the right time just before the 150 board here into the first corner. We see the shadow there off to the left, that the driver in second place, or who was fighting us for first, had just outbraked themselves. And I'm going to show this lap pretty much in its entirety too, because this was kind of a bit of a surprise to me. I've got Lucky Strike behind me, and they're only 0.5 behind, and I'm thinking, okay, this is difficult. I didn't expect to be in first. Suddenly I'm defending a first place. Now, as we come through here, 0.3, 0.2, I'm expecting to have to defend. I get on the brakes, and they just go deep or something. And I gain a huge amount of time and go more than 1 second up. But I know there are 2 guys who outqualified me further back, who've slid off the track on lap 1, and they can outlap me by 2+ seconds each. So I'm not expecting a clean run here at all. I'm expecting the guys to come back at me. But look, at the end of lap 3, I was 2.5 seconds up. At the end of lap 4, I was 4.5 seconds up. So I'm sort of pulling away a second a lap, which I just didn't see happening at all. So I'm just trying to keep my cool. And at the end of lap 5, as we go into the last lap, we're 5.5 seconds up. So it's just a matter of keeping it cool on the last lap, and we will get ourselves the second win of our Forza Online career. Let's see how we do. We come through the chicane, 6 seconds up now. Just keeping it tidy. Careful not to wash out wide on this pretty quick final corner. We do great. We use enough for the runoff. It's our fastest lap. We get a 1:18, and it is a second race victory in Forza Online, which is just fantastic. Always nice to bring you a win here, and we've on the top step this time out for the first time at this particular layout of Barcelona. We're looking good now with our safety rating and skill rating. So if you've enjoyed these races and want to see more Forza multiplayer videos in future, it'd be great if you drop me a sub or like. Take care and thanks for watching.